All right, all right. It is 1:30, 1:30. And you know what that means? It is time for Heart Talk. This is the talk portion of our show. This is when we come to renew our heart, renew our minds, and restore our hearts. And this is the last segment of Heart Talk for today. Time really does fly when you're having fun. On this Make It Happen Monday, let's get into it. This segment is brought to you by my new book, Help Save Me from My Broken Heart, Your Journey to Living and Loving Again. And this is Adelai Brown, your heart coach. So let's talk about fear. We've talked about doubt, separation, frustration, and I feel like a lot of it, most of it, all of it is really rooted in fear. So let's talk a little bit about fear. Fear is defined as an unpleasant emotion caused by the belief that someone or something is dangerous or likely to cause pain or a threat. That's a noun form. And the verb form of fear is to be afraid of someone or something as likely to be dangerous, painful, or threatening. Fear. I wanted to talk about fear because I feel like fear is at the root of all of these other topics that we've talked about today. Fear is at the root of doubt. Fear is at the root of um, the resistance to separation. Fear is at the root of frustration. And I wanted to talk about it because a lot of times we say, I'm afraid, or this is what I hear a lot. I don't want to mess it up. To all of my perfectionists out there, I know it's not that you're not afraid to do it. I know you're not. You just want to make sure it's done right, right? You just want to make sure you've covered all your bases, and you don't want to put yourself out there and be sloppy and it's not together and you're making mistakes. I get that. But let's be honest. That's rooted in some fear. That's rooted in you don't want to mess up because it's unpleasant. It feels dangerous. It causes some type of pain or threat to mess up. And oftentimes that pain or threat is to our own ego, is what we think about ourselves and how we feel about ourselves and how we see ourselves in the world around us. And fear is driven by pride. Pride is, the Bible tells us that pride is like the chief most, it's not the chief sin, but it's at the core of most all sin. And it is that self preservation. It is us wanting to protect ourselves from the pain, from the hurt, from the rejection, from the doubt, from the separation, from the frustration. We want to protect ourselves from failure. We want to protect ourselves from being abandoned, being hurt, being abused, whatever the case may be. We have to understand and call a thing what it is. Jesus died so that we could have life. Jesus didn't die because we're bad and he wants to make us good people. He died because we were dead and he gave us life. What is more fearful than death? What is worse than dying? Like, what could you fear more than not being here anymore? He did that for us and he conquered death. One of the things that we have to understand is we have to acknowledge the fear that we have. And as I thought about this doubt, separation, frustration, and now to get to fear, the whole idea is we've been called to something greater than ourselves. That's what Make It Happen Monday is all about. We have been called to something greater than ourselves, and it's scary. Let's just call a thing what it is. You're being asked to do things that are bigger than you've ever done. You're getting visions and thoughts that are coming in your spirit of doing things and impacting people in ways that are unique to you now, but it's different. It stretches farther than anything you could have ever seen yourself doing. It pushes past the limitations that you weren't live within. The boundaries that were set around you, those walls that you built to protect you, are now closing in. And they're not closing in because you're doing something wrong. It's closing in because you're outgrowing those limitations. And it seems dangerous to move forward because you've never experienced this before. All you can think of is the pain and the threat. You have the fear about what's to come. But what about the blessings to come? What about the breakthrough that is to come when you overcome that fear? Some synonyms for fear: terror, fright, alarm. Something is alarming, agitation, dismay, dread, a phobia, horror, anxiety, nervousness, apprehension, uneasiness. Those were a lot of the synonyms that we have for doubt. I don't want you to try to convince yourself, oh, I'm okay, that doesn't bother me. And this season, I want you to confront what's bothering you. And that is more scary than acting like it doesn't exist. I know it is. Being a heart coach, trust me, being a heart coach, and some people are like, well, what is a heart coach? I told you the heart stands for healing, enlightenment, authenticity, revitalization, and transformation. Being a heart coach is I'm a life coach that focuses on matters of the heart. So I want to help you live your life understanding that we can't just get on and do better. We're not going to deal with the foundation of what's driving you to do what you need to do. And we are driven by what's in our hearts. Jesus said, it's not what you put in that defiles you, it's what comes out of you that defiles you. And he judges us by the quality of our hearts. He tells us to guard our hearts with everything that we have, because that's where the issues of life are coming from. And so what we have to do is we have to deal with what's going on. This fear, many of us have been traumatized and never dealt with the trauma. The fear is justified, but it doesn't make it correct. So you have to deal with this fear. You have to deal with the fear of getting in a relationship because of how you were hurt before. But let's take it deeper. You're afraid of getting in a relationship because your mama never had a healthy relationship and her mama never had one. And the truth is, you wonder if you're even worthy of being happy in a relationship. That's the type of fear I'm talking about. The danger, the terror. I'm stepping out and doing what you're calling me to do, and I don't feel worthy of it, and I don't think I'm good enough. I'm doing it. I'm separated. I'm doubting myself. I'm frustrated, but you're still calling me to do it. We're going to overcome this fear. We're not going to let it hold us back. That's what Make It Happen Monday is all about. We are making it happen. We are making it happen with our insecurities. We are making it happen despite the voids that have not been filled. We are making it happen despite the fact that we're not getting the support we would like. Sometimes we're angry with people for not being there for us or supporting us or caring for us, and they're not supposed to. That was not a part of their assignment. That might be what you want from them, but that's not what they're supposed to be doing. And we have to consider that. We have to really think about that. We have to be willing to confront that. We have to make it happen. I remember when I was having Christopher, my last baby, my biggest baby, and the only baby that I had with no medicine, no anesthesia. We're talking about making it happen. And I mentioned earlier how we can't numb the pain. We can't get anesthesia for it. When I realized I wasn't getting an epidural, it brought fear to me because I knew I could push the baby out. I had done it before, but I didn't think I could do it without help. I didn't think I could do it without the medicine. I felt like I could do it, but I had to be anesthetized. And that's how a lot of people go through life because things hurt so bad. That's why you have like functional addicts because it's like I can do it, but I need to be medicated to do it. I can do it, but let me have a drink. I can do it, but let me get a quick smoke. I can do it, but let me see my friend real quick, or let me get a little quick getaway. It's fear, guys. It's fear holding us back. And when I had him, and I realized I wasn't going to be anesthetized, I wasn't going to get that relief that I was hoping to get. You still feel the pressure, but I was trying to avoid the pain. When you've been hurt so bad in your life, that pain, you will go to all kinds of lengths to never feel that pain again. But let me tell you something. When we're making it happen, we have to go through to get to. What does that mean? That means that the pain is just as much a part of the process as the breakthrough. The pain is just as much of a part of the process as the process itself. You don't have to fear it. Because if you're going to suffer with him, like the word says, you're going to be in that pain. You can glory with him. You can overcome that. And fear usually prevents us from putting ourselves in those uncomfortable situations. That's where we find ourselves staying in these dysfunctional and uncomfortable comfort zones. I really want to encourage you. You do it despite your fear. Your fear does not have to go away for you to make it happen on this Monday and every day. Do it despite the fact that you're doubting yourself and others. Do it despite the fact that you've had to be separated and isolated. You feel picked apart. You are being picked apart. That's why you're scared right now. You're being forced to work with tools and things that maybe you've never used. Maybe you didn't know that you had this much patience in your character. Maybe you didn't know that you can endure through this situation. You thought you would have flipped out and killed somebody by now. You're shocking yourself that you're so calm and you're able to handle this the way that you are. You're making it happen. Don't let that fear hold you back. Don't let those threats hold you back. That doubt, that apprehension. Don't let it hold you back. Those feelings of dread and anxiety because of the outcome that may come. Let me tell you something. Your outcome is going to be blessed because you're actually in it. It's going to be a blessing because you chose to get in it and make it happen instead of sitting on the sideline watching everybody else and critiquing them. It's good. It's temporarily good. It's good to point out the faults in others, but guess what? It still does not cover your own. Remember that. That's why we have to focus on the beam in our own eye that Matthew chapter 7 tells us. Instead of worry about the specks in others, we're usually focusing on other people's specks because of fear of dealing with our own hurt, fear of dealing with our own pain, fear of making it happen in our own lives. We can support everybody else. It's time for you to put yourself out there. It's time for you to put yourself out there. It's time for you to make it happen. And you're going to do it despite the fear. You're going to do it regardless. And I know you are because I believe in you and I'm trusting in you and I'm encouraging you and I'm going to be here Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., encouraging you because I believe you can make it happen. And I know that's why I'm here to support you along this process. And I'm thankful for that. And I thank you for tuning into Heart Talk with your heart coach, Adelai Brown, right here on Heart Connections and kinetichi-fi.com. Don't hold it back. Let it go. You can do it. You're going to make it happen. Just keep holding on. Let's let Simply Red tell us a little bit about that. We'll be back to close out shortly. I love you guys to life right here with Heart Connections, kinetichi-fi.com.